just Freckles back online again, and today I'm coming to you with the June/July book report. I know I've had to merge 2 months together twice in a row because Kaia's just been really hectic recently. She's been literally taking everything out of my room, so I basically had to reassemble my room. I had my school science fair, which was also pretty hectic, but I got to do a bit of reading in there, so I have a book report for this month. So we have The Wild Rescuers Guardians of the Taiga by StacyPlays. You guys may know her from her YouTube channel, StacyPlays, or maybe you've seen this book around and you picked it up and read the blurb. Maybe you're like, maybe I could ask for that for Christmas or my birthday or something. And then we have Bella Broomstick by Lou Kuenzler. This is the second one in that series. I've noticed that I like her second book from that series the most often. I don't know why, but I don't know, it's just really fun. I love the second book of most series. But this one is really funny. It's fun. And yeah, I've reviewed a few Lou Kuenzler books before already, so you guys probably know who she is by now. And then we have the Magic Treehouse number 28. So this is the 28th in that series. This is actually the first one I read though, but we don't need to talk about that. This one is by Mary Pope Osborne. And this one, not gonna lie, I read because we were planning to go to Hawaii, but then that got cancelled, so I'm living through this book, so I'm probably gonna have to reread this. So now let's start with The Wild Rescuers book by StacyPlays. So Wild Rescuers is, like I said like 2 seconds ago, a book by StacyPlays, who's one of my favorite YouTube creators. And I got to meet her at VidCon 2019, which was so exciting, and I kept dragging my parents to her booth because her booth had some really cute plushies. It had the books that I've been hinting at my parents to get for me for like literally years, like as soon as they came out. Maybe not years, but you know what I mean. And then my parents were like, hold on. And they saw the person at the desk like pull out a signed copy, and so my parents got me these signed copies. Let's see if I can, there, I got signed, which is so exciting. So this is a gal called Stacy, complete no correlation whatsoever, who was raised by wolves. I'm pretty sure there are 6. Let's see if I can name all of them. Everest, Addison, Noah, Tucker, Basil, and Wink. And like they're a whole pack, and they live in a cave, and it's very Minecraft related, so if you play Minecraft, you're like, I see the correlation. Although at one point she does get to mine bedrock, which is impressive, which if you play Minecraft again, you'll know you can't mine bedrock, so just letting you guys in if you don't play Minecraft. And the main point, like my favorite part of this book was probably when Stacy was on one of her most intense rescue missions yet, because when she was rescued by the wolves, she wanted to spend a bunch of her time saving other animals. So she was doing one rescue specifically with this dog that was being cornered by this other wolf pack in the taiga, and it ran down a cave, and then it went to like lava level, and it was chaotic, and the dog sounded like Kaia because it's chaotic, high energy, and definitely difficult to say the least. But thank God they ended up saving her. Like, good. This is a really good adventure book or novel, whatever you really want to call it, so I'm trying to restrain from telling you guys much more, but it is jam-packed with all these crazy things happening, and it's like you're never bored. There aren't any like pages or even sentences where it's like, I could probably just skip this, because every single word you are so immersed in, and the language in this book is so descriptive and clear to the point where you can read a page, and then when you turn the page and there's a picture, it's like exactly what you envisioned. And that was a bit of a spoiler of what happened. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw this picture, I nearly started crying because Paige kind of looks like Kaia, and definitely the way she described her sounds exactly like my dog Kaia, so I nearly cried because she was in that situation that you guys just saw. But yeah, I'd say this is a really good book for 10 to 14-year-olds, I'd say, because I could probably give my sister this book and she'd probably read it, and she's a bit older than me, so yeah. And I really think that this book is like really great for older kids, because, or like slightly older kids, because like it's just like, it's difficult to explain, but when you read the book, it's like so like, I didn't know I needed this in my life until I knew I needed this in my life. And honestly, it's an amazing book. 10 out of 10 Freckles. And yeah, I may be a bit biased because I love her as a creator, but the language in this book is like, I almost said delicious, but it's so good to the point where I didn't want to let go of my book. So if I woke up to go to the bathroom or something in the middle of the night, I like contemplated picking up the book and just like flicking on a light, closing my door, and just like reading this for hours because I was so immersed. So now let's move on to Bella Broomstick by Lou Kuenzler. Bella Broomstick by Lou Kuenzler is all about a bad witch. She's not very good at witchcraft. Her name is Bella, as the title suggests. And in the first book, this is the second book in the series, so in the first book, her mean Aunt Hemlock drops Bella in the human world because she thinks she'll be better off there, because if she can't do magic, then what's the point of her being in the magic realm? So she drops her off in the human world, and then Bella, it kind of ends with like, tomorrow's the first day of school at her new school. So she's like preparing for that, she's all nervous, and then basically this starts as it's the first day of school, so it's really cool how it's like not, like it gives the time period, I guess. So she goes to school and she becomes friends with this girl called Esmeralda, who's like, her mum is very into stories, which is why all the kids are named after like different characters from different books, which I think is so smart. And it's kind of confusing when I explain it because I'm not very good at explaining something sometimes, but Esmeralda wants to be a magician, which is funny because Bella is a witch. Yeah, she's a witch. Yeah. And Esmeralda's trying to pull a bunny out of a hat, and she was going to pull out a fake bunny, but then Bella's like, I can help with that. And so she tries to conjure up a real bunny, and then it works, and Bella's shook, and then Esmeralda's like, I didn't know I could do that. And then everyone's like, no way, that's a real bunny. And then the mean kid of the group is like, I don't believe it. And so he leans in, and then the bunny chomps off half of the kid's nose. It doesn't actually come off, but basically that's what it explains. And then the kid runs away crying, which is like karma because he's really mean, and chaos ensues. Basically, they going to a Roman villa for a school field trip, so they think that they can drop the bunny off there. But that afternoon, they're doing some multiplication, and Bella's like, hey, I'm really good at multiplication when I have an example. So 9 times 10 is 90 bunnies. And like, why would you do living creatures if you knew that you could conjure up living creatures? Because that just kind of like explains itself. So basically they have 101 bunnies they need to smuggle to a Roman villa, and then on their way back, things just go crazy. So I'm not going to spoil too much more because otherwise I'll just never end and I'll explain the rest of the whole series to you guys. But it's a really good book. I'd say I probably read it a bit too old for the target demographic for this book, so maybe this is like an 8 to 10 book, maybe even like a 7 to 10 book. I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10 Freckles, just because, again, I just think I was too old to be reading the book at the age I did, because I read this year, and yeah. So now let's move on to The Magic Treehouse number 28 by Mary Pope Osborne. The Magic Treehouse High Tide in Hawaii is the 28th edit of this book series, and it's all about these two kids called Jack and Annie, and they're like brother and sister. Annie's younger than Jack, and Jack's like the young nerdy one, and not the young nerdy one, but he's like the nerdy one that like just like wants to stay in when it's raining, and Annie is like the one that like wants to go out and play around in the rain, is probably the best explanation I could give to define their personalities, I guess. And so they have like this magic tree house, which is like kind of obvious, and there's books in there. It's like piles and piles of books, and then whenever they like read the book, they teleport to the place in that book. And so that's really fun. I wish I could do that. But just like Hawaii. But then they go to Hawaii and they meet these people because they kind of arrive at like night. And they meet these kids. One's like Jack's age and one's Annie's age. And they're like, hey, come surfing with us tomorrow. And so they like drag them out to the beach the next day, and he's like, yes, and Jack's like, really? And so they're all like, okay, grab the surfboards, and they're very like, whoa. And then they go out, and then as they start coming back in, they say, okay, if you guys are feeling comfortable enough, you can stand up. Otherwise, just like stay on your knees and stuff. And Annie gets up almost immediately, and she's fine standing up. And Jack's like, oh, well, if Annie can do it, I probably can. So he tries to stand up, and then his legs start wobbling, and then he falls off. And then he's like, okay. So then he has to drive his board in, not drive it in, but he has to like swim back in. And then he gets like really defensive about the fact that he couldn't stand up. And so he like yells at everyone, and then he just like sits down in the corner of the beach and starts reading. And then he starts reading about tsunamis and stuff. And he's reading about them, and the way they're describing tsunamis is almost exactly what he's seeing in front of him. So now he's like, okay, I need to go out, get them back in, and we need to run. And so he's like trying to swim out, and I'm not going to spoil much more, but he has to swim back out into the ocean. And if you guys don't know how tsunamis are formed, it's like earthquakes in the ocean that cause like a really high tide that like sweeps over the land, I guess. Oh, that sounds like something I could put in a book. And so he's like swimming out to get them, and he's like, guys, tsunami, get in. And I'm not going to spoil much more, but there is a tsunami, and you guys are going to have to read this for yourself to find out. I'd say this is another 9.5 Freckles. I'd say that this book is probably for kids that are like 8 or 9 to 11, so like my age, because it's like one of those situations, it's like one of those books where it's like, it's very short, so it's like easy for young kids because it's not like a literal book, so it's like quick and easy, but it's also like one of those things where it's like, you can't really read it to too young of kids because then I feel like they'd be kind of scared to go by the ocean in the like minuscule chance that there's a tsunami or something. So yeah, but I'd still say this is a really good book, and especially if you're one of those people that's like, I totally want to go surfing, like no matter what, like read this book, but also like do it because it sounds really cool. So yeah, that was The Magic Treehouse by Mary Pope Osborne. So just to recap, today we reviewed Wild Rescuers, Guardians of the Taiga by StacyPlays. We reviewed Bella Broomstick, School Spells by Lou Kuenzler. And we reviewed Magic Treehouse number 28, High Tides in Hawaii by Mary Pope Osborne. I don't know why I'm so aggressive right now. But overall, Wild Rescuers, 10 out of 10. Bella Broomsticks, 9.5 out of 10. Hawaii one, aka Magic Treehouse, 9.5 out of 10. All amazing books for different reasons. They're all very different. I'd say the two that are the most similar are the Wild Rescuers and the Magic Treehouse one, because they're both very adventure-ish, whereas Bella Broomstick's like bippity boppity boo. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload a video. Share this video with all of your friends and all of your family, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye from me, and goodbye from every single one of my Freckles and my friends from my books. Yes, they are real. Okay, bye.